Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this detailed halter top. Now this design is actually based on a top that I made during my first year on YouTube, and I felt the need to recreate the tutorial because again, it was my first year on YouTube and I definitely feel that I've improved on making tutorials since then, so hopefully that's true and you enjoy this one. Alrighty then, let's get started. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Red Heart as well as a size 5mm hook. And the yarn is 100% acrylic if you were wondering. And the first thing I'm going to do is make a slip knot with my yarn, and then I'm going to chain a chain that is long enough to wrap from one side of my rib cage to the other. In other words, from here to here. And of course, this is going to be different on everyone, so that's why I'm not going to give you a specific number of chains that you have to do because your body type is going to be different. So just chain however many chains you need in order for the chain to be long enough to touch from that part of your rib cage to the other. And after you are done making that chain, you're going to go back on that chain with a single crochet. And if you are unfamiliar with what a single crochet is, or I'm going too terribly fast for you, then you may be new to my channel, which, hello, welcome. Sorry I'm going super fast for you, but I have a ton of crochet tutorials and I usually make new tutorials fast enough for the subscribers who have been subscribed to me for a while to just easily breeze through. But again, if you're new here, I do have a Crocheting for Beginners video linked in the description box below, as well as a ton of other beginner-friendly videos that you can try out first, and then come back to this one if you're interested. Again, it'll all be linked in the description box below. Alrighty then, so back to the project. Once you've created your first row of single crochet, once you reach the end of that row, you're going to chain one, flip the project over, and then create a second row of single crochet on top of the first row of single crochet. And then once you reach the end of that row, then of course you're going to chain one, flip the project over, and create another row of single crochet. And you're going to create more rows and rows of single crochet until you're happy with the length of it. And this length is going to be the part that covers your torso, so everything underneath your breasts. And I want my crochet top to be kind of like a bikini, maybe a little bit longer than a bikini, definitely a crop top. But if you want more coverage, then all you need to do is make this portion of the project much longer and you could cover more of your body. But yeah, so continue making single crochets until you're happy with the length of this portion of the project, which is going to cover your torso. And then after you're happy with the length of that, then we're going to move on to the next step, which is creating the cups. And the way I create the cups is I wrap the project around my body and then I mark out where I want the cups to be. So I just wrap this rectangular piece around my body and then I just mark out where I want the cups to be, and then I just work on those spots specifically in order to make the cups. So right now I'm starting from the end of my last row and I'm going to single crochet my way to the middle marker of where I want to create my first cup. And once I reach that middle marker, I'm going to chain one, flip the project over, and then make my way back, but not all the way to the edge of the row. I'm actually going to go back to the other marker that I made where I want the cup to end, and I'm only going to be working in between those two markers. Essentially, I'm only going to be crocheting from here to here in order to build up rows only in these specific areas. And for now, every time I reach the end of the row, I'm going to chain one, flip the project over, and then create a new row. And you're going to continue with this pattern until you put the project against yourself as if you were going to wear it. And this portion of the project covers all the way up to half of your breast. So once you put the project against yourself and you see that it covers half of your breast, then we're going to move on to the next step. Now this is what my project looks like once I put it against myself and it covers half of my breast because my breasts are really small. But if yours are larger than mine, then your project will probably look drastically different, and that's okay. That's why I don't give specific rows or numbers, because every body type is different. So once you get to this point, you're going to still chain one, flip the project over, then go into the very first stitch, but now you're actually going to skip over the second stitch of the beginning of every new row and go straight into the third stitch. And then you're going to continue making single crochets inside of every stitch for the rest of the row until the very end. And once you reach the very end, you're going to chain one, flip the project over, go into the first stitch, but then skip over that second stitch and go right into the third stitch. And then you're going to continue down the rest of the row as normal. And once again, once you reach the very end of the row, you're going to chain one, flip the project over, and then once you have flipped the project over, you're going to single crochet into the very first stitch as you normally would, but then you're going to skip over the second stitch and go right into the third stitch, and that's the only difference that you're going to make with the pattern. Just every time you reach the end, you're going to do that, and that's slowly going to start bringing in your project like you can see right here, and it's also going to give it more of a cup shape. And you might not see it right away, but after a number of rows, then you'll definitely be able to see the curving as well as the project going inward, which is exactly what you want in order to make this cup. And you're just going to continue making rows and rows until you put the project against yourself as if you're going to wear it, and then it covers your breast completely. And after you've completed your first cup, you're going to work on your second cup by essentially doing the exact same thing. Now you can cut the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach the yarn at the spot where you want to make your other cup. Or you can just do what I'm doing and single crochet your way to the center of the two cups. So I'm just working my way all along the first cup that I just made until I get to the center. And once I am at that center stitch, I'm going to make my second cup. So I'm just going to go from one marker to the other and do the exact same thing I did for the first cup, which is create a number of rows that are rectangular. So I go into all of the stitches, and then at the end of each row I chain one, flip the project over, and then again go into all of the stitches until the project is long enough to cover half of my breast. And then after that, I'm going to start skipping that second stitch at the beginning of every row until the second cup is just as big as my first cup. And after that, I'm going to single crochet my way down to the center again, but you can detach the yarn from the yarn ball if you want. So now that I'm at the center of both cups, I'm going to create a triple crochet, which is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through one loop, yarn over through two loops, and yarn over through the last two loops. And after I created my one triple crochet in the center of the two cups, I'm going to create a single crochet so I can get over to the edge of this cup right here, and then slip stitch on the edge to finish that row. And then kind of like chaining one at the end of each row, I'm going to slip stitch upwards again on the side of this cup here and start my new row. And that wasn't a slip stitch, that was a single crochet, but do a slip stitch because I messed up. Okay, so slip stitch your way up and then begin your new row. So it's actually really complicated to see in my footage exactly what I'm doing, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to make one more triple crochet as the more rows I make. So on my first row of this portion of the project, I made 1 triple crochet, and then on my second row I'm going to make 2 triple crochets, and then on my third row I'm going to make 3 triple crochets, so on and so forth until I reach the top of the 2 cups. And after I reach the top of the 2 cups, the project will look something like this. And after that, I need to make it over to one side of the project. Either side is fine. So what I'm going to do is single crochet my way across one side, which I don't recommend because that means that this cup will be slightly bigger than the other cup. So at this point, I would actually suggest that you detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then just reattach it to the side of the project. Or if you're totally against detaching the yarn from the yarn ball like I am, then just live with the fact that one cup is going to be bigger than the other. Alrighty then, so now that I'm at the end of the row here, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to flip the project over and create a triple crochet, then chain 1, skip a stitch, create a triple crochet, and then chain 1, skip a stitch, create another triple crochet, and so on and so forth. So chain 1, skip a stitch, and create a triple crochet. And I'm going to continue doing this for the rest of the row until the project looks something like this. And then after that, then basically you're just going to continue doing that for the rest of the project. Continue making more and more rows of triple crochet until you put the project against yourself and you're happy with the coverage. Know that now you're not going to be making triple crochets on top of single crochets anymore, so you don't have to skip a stitch. Actually, do not skip stitches. Make sure that you create a triple crochet on top of every triple crochet from the previous row. That way your project doesn't become all warped and weird. So yeah, make sure that you're making triple crochets on top of triple crochets and just continue making rows and rows of them until you put the project against yourself as if you were going to wear it and you're happy with the coverage. It covers all the way up to your collarbone or wherever you would like for it to cover. And then after you're done with that, then you're just going to make the straps. And the way that I make the straps is I start off from the end and then I chain a very long chain of 120 chains. And the reason why this is so long is because I want this strap to be able to reach across my back and then also crisscross at the bottom of the project. So it needs to be really long, and of course, depending on your body type, you may need to make either more or less chains than I do. So just gauge how many chains you may need to make for yourself. Or you can also make neck straps and back straps instead of just one really long strap that goes across your back. But yeah, this is how I'm making my top. So after I have completed my 120 chains, I'm going to go back on that chain with a slip stitch just to make the strap thicker and more durable. And of course, because I do not cut the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach it. That's just something I rarely do. I only do it if I really have to because I am stubborn. Alrighty then, so now I'm going to make my way over to the other side and do the exact same thing. And after I've completed both straps, I'm going to weave them through the back portion of the project. So I'm just going to bring the strap through the very top portion of the bottom of the project and then reach it over to the opposite side and attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the project. And then I'm going to reach it on over to the opposite side one last time and attach it to the very bottom portion of the project. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the opposite strap, but of course do the opposite. So I'm going to attach it to the top, middle, and the very bottom of the bottom portion of the top. And after that, you're completely done with the project, and now you can style it and rock it as you wish. Yay! So again, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you watched my old one, you found this one much better. That would mean that I actually improved on making tutorials, Well, again, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy it, found it interesting, entertaining, or helpful, please give it a big thumbs up before you go. And also, if you're a fan of free crochet tutorials, please check out the rest of my channel. I have so many crochet tutorials ranging from beginner friendly to a little bit more advanced. But I hope you stick around, and don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!